Bitcoin versus CBDCs. You might be thinking to yourself, what's this all about? Why is everybody so interested in the difference between Bitcoin and these CBDCs, and why is it such a big deal? Aren't they just the same thing? And those proponents of the CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies, will basically try to merge the two together in this concept of electronic money. And they do share that in common, but then the differences really start to layer on from there. Essentially, money today, in almost all forms, especially here in the US, is what we call fiat currency, meaning that basically it's backed by the full faith and credit of the US government. And the idea is that the US government is going to stand behind the US dollars. But the US dollars that you and I hold in our bank accounts, that denominate our real estate holdings, that back our investment accounts indirectly, because that's what our investment funds get liquidated into, those US dollars are just backed by the credit of the government. And so we've seen recently that essentially through deficit spending, the US government is creating more US dollars. And they did so at a frantic pace during the pandemic. And so the pandemic caused the government to go out and print money. And this shows you one of the things that is an issue with the CBDC, meaning that at any point there could be more money printed, right? You essentially, even if you're an electronic currency, it becomes essentially even easier for the government to just create money, because they can just add to the ledger and either spend it on government programs and that type of thing, or they could send it out in stimulus programs. And also the CBDCs are generally what they call programmable, meaning that you can determine who gets to use the money and how, right? You can put time limits on it, usage limitations, etc. This may be something the government likes to do in a situation where you feel like economic stimulus is needed, right? We need to spend money now. Maybe people aren't spending enough. So you put programmable money out, has to be used up in a certain period of time, causing people to go out and immediately use it. Whereas Bitcoin, or a cryptocurrency, is a private function. Now, different currencies, different rules. Focusing on Bitcoin here, Bitcoin is based on blockchain. There's formulas behind it. There's also a very specific formula on how Bitcoin is created and populated. So you shouldn't have a situation where there's an unexpected amount of Bitcoin out in the world, right? We know how much Bitcoin there is now. We know how much Bitcoin is going to be in the future. It's not connected to government spending, and it's also not designed to be programmable, right? It's designed to be essentially free. Now, both of these have tracking and tracing concerns. The CBDC seems like it's a lot easier for the government to potentially shut off somebody's account, whereas Bitcoin, as long as you know your keys, you could potentially continue to use it even if somebody tried to prevent you from using it. So a lot of complexity here, but a CBDC is not a Bitcoin, and a Bitcoin is not a CBDC. These are really different things. There seems to be a lot of confusion right now, and people are trying to put the two together. And I think it's important for the future of our businesses and our personal finances that we get ahead of this and be thinking about this and understanding what's going on here. These CBDCs are potentially coming very quick and not with a lot of thought behind them. So we need to change that equation. Hope this is helpful. We love your questions. Glad to do more videos on this topic. Leave your questions general. I do tell people that comments you put on these social media channels are not confidential, so other people may see your comments. So don't put anything on there you wouldn't want other people seeing publicly. But I do hope you tune in again, and I hope you subscribe to the channel so we can see each other again. Thanks for tuning in today, folks.